Okay, everybody, welcome to the TCP Building Design Committee meeting. Today is October 27th, and I have the wrong agenda pulled up on my screen here. Okay, so a couple of opening remarks. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. The town of Lunenburg, in response to COVID-19, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting is being conducted remotely. The meeting will be recorded and be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link that was included in the published agenda. From a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID 833-8487-7973 and the pound sign. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Okay. So it is 5:36, and I will call the meeting to order. I'll first call the roll. Dave Blatt.
Here.
Michael Ray.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
Dave Passios.
Here.
Christina.
Here.
Okay, I think that is everybody.
Hi, Greg, it's Heidi. I'm gonna transfer host before I lose you again.
Okay, yeah, I keep getting it. You keep dropping off, and then it goes to me. So
Okay.
it looks like it's working okay, but okay, looks like I got it. So okay, is there any public comment from the public? And you can use, again, I'll just say again that we'll treat this as a public comment period and not a public question and answer period or a public discourse period between the members of the board and any members of the public that want to speak. We'll let folks speak, and then during if there's a response that happens during public comment from the board, then so be it. But we'll make sure that everybody has their chance to say their piece. I don't see anybody unmuting themselves. So I will open it up to any public comment from the committee. Okay. So first agenda item is just a placeholder for input and update from the architect. I can't pronounce that name very well, so just DiGiorgio. So I have not heard anything from them this week. The last I heard is they're shooting, well, the contractual time by which they need to have numbers to us is next week. The end of next week. So it was not looking, when Heather talked to them a week or so ago, it was not looking good that they were going to have things in time for the 2nd of November. But of course they didn't close the door, but that was the last I've heard. So they're not going to be on the meeting tonight. So I don't expect any updates from them. Okay. Discussion of proposed warrant articles. I didn't forward Dave an email suggesting that Dave should review the meeting. And it doesn't sound like Dave was going to have a lot of time to tweak it between now and then anyway. So I guess I just wanted to say that Dave still has some work to do to take care of our edits. I know that he made some already. Well, Dave, I can turn it over to you, but I think Dave suggested he made a bunch of the edits that were forwarded to him via email. So that's done, but I think there's some more work to be done about adding in the slides from the renovation project and things. So I don't know if I don't want to rehash the hour-long discussion we had last meeting on that. But we're looking to get and I talked to Dave about this just before the meeting started, Dave Blatt, that we're looking to get this into Michael Ray's hands prior to the November 2nd, next week, Tuesday, so that he can present it to the select board. Is that still the case, Michael Ray?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, once the missus goes to sleep during the game, I'll update the slides. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I thought about after our last meeting was that I think a lot of what we were probably looking for was on the presentation that was done in the spring.
Yeah.
And so there's probably just some cut and paste from that one.
Well, here, let me ask you this. Let me do this then. Hold on. Share.
Yeah, we can spend as much time on this as we surely don't have to leave this. I just,
Yeah.
I apologize. I totally slipped my
All right,
mind to email Dave, but it doesn't sound like Dave was gonna have a lot of time anyway, but I was out of sync on that.
Yeah, Greg, if I could, while he's pulling that up.
Yep.
Dave Blatt, my concern is that we make sure that we have enough information in the presentation at special town meetings so that people that are there for the first time, and it's the first time they're hearing about this project, which there are people in this town that have heard nothing about it, get at least a basic understanding of both projects.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
all I'm concerned about.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to just go through this and see which ones we want? Which ones we
Yeah,
don't?
that's what I figured. I figured I'd just
Okay.
do it real quick on that.
So, yeah, so,
So
yeah.
slide one was just this, the name, all our names and former names.
fine.
Do we need it? Yes, no, maybe.
I think it's fine personally. We'll just go
I think
over it.
I think that leads into whatever we include in the following slides. I don't think there's
Gotcha.
everything in the previous presentation, but this is a good lead in.
Okay. Scope of the work by committee and architect.
Good
In.
slide. In.
I think this is in, but I think maybe a couple of extra bullets I think maybe tweaking it so that we're clear in this slide that it's relating to the work on the renovation
Gotcha.
project. And then maybe a couple more sentences saying, summer, fall 2021, we've been working on the we've been working on a cost comparison for a new build. And it's just to kind of bring it all.
Yeah, the only thing, Greg, is you're blending the two projects again if you do that.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I
If you want to,
think if we stay in the first part of the presentation with
that's fine.
slides from the original presentation and make it clear that this is renovation information, and then make a hard stop and make it clear to the audience that now we're moving on to the renovation. I think that's a lot safer.
That makes perfect sense to me too. So that's fine. Yep.
Okay. Skipping all my present conditions.
I think so.
Stakeholders, maximizing the space, skipping all of these, with the
Well,
idea.
You go ahead. Well, let's talk about it. I mean,
Okay, go ahead.
Dave, is there a slide there? You click through them pretty quickly, but is there one slide that shows, and I know all the print would be pretty tiny, but how all of the program fit into the building as a whole, or did we break it all down? That's probably the closest.
Right. But what I'll do is I'll talk to you guys a little bit about, so what I can do is for the final design, right here, this section here, I'll
Yep.
break it down with square footage for town, the same way I'm breaking down in the other one. Town, community, and all that happy stuff.
Yep.
And using the same thing, calling it the same exact wording and everything like that.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's one thing that, Dave, that you'll see when you get a chance to review the video is we think that's the word I was looking for, is nomenclature is really important. That we pick a word to describe the renovation. So I think, are we saying renovate, a renovation? I can't remember what we landed on, to be quite honest with you. But we don't switch, like we'd say renovation project, new construction project or something like that. So that, and we use that, make sure we're consistent through with that same language.
okay,
Because
And
I
then-
feel like we, yeah.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
And then the only other one would be this
I would go up one.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, do you want me to put it this way, or do you want me to just?
Let's just present the final number.
Okay,
I agree. I don't think we want a lot of numbers out there.
so I'm just gonna do, final number, doing, building reno, and then soft cost, and then a total.
Yeah, I mean, that gives them what the information they need to know. They don't really need to know that it was 21 million at one point. They need to know that we got it to 18.3 or whatever.
But even that, I think we got to emphasize the 23 million because that's what they're going to have to be voting on too. So I don't think we should hide that number. That should be out there.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. We should add in, so I think we should take off the first two and then we should add in, we should call that best and final cost. We should just say, maybe take off best and just say final cost estimate. And then you could say, report the 18,370, whatever, that as construction, and then report the soft costs and then do the total. And we'll make sure that total number jives with the funding amount that we're asking for in the article. That's a great point, Brian. That's a great point. Yep. That's what I have in mind.
Okay,
Yep, looks great.
Okay, cool.
all right, look at that, guys. I might actually be able to pay attention to it any. All right, not a problem. Okay, so we're all set there. That was perfect. I'll put those in and,
And then
and
what's the last one down there? The last slide there? Dave?
this was the major items.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's important. Yeah. Personally, anyway, if anybody else disagrees, that's fine.
No, I think it's gonna be obvious in the dollar amount that, that the systems all need to be replaced.
Okay,
And then we flow into, and then you'll see there's some comments about wording things and maybe adding another slide, about a slide or two here and breaking a couple slides into two slides.
gotcha.
You'll see
Okay.
that stuff, but I don't think it's a huge heavy lift for you.
So it's interesting because I was trying to consolidate and put as few slides as possible. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel
Just
like
think-
breaking things up would be better.
Yeah, I think when we get down into where we had two separate, those ones, I think we were agreed to break those into two separate slides.
Yeah,
You'll
And then
see,
the-
just
yeah.
review the video, because you'll see there's a lot of discussion on it. And I
Okay.
think just because of
Pretty
the
much
flow-
all the double slides we suggested be broken down into singles.
Yeah,
okay. And then what I did is I added there, and then here I figured I'll just do a building usage breakdown. How will the new building be used? How will how renovated building will be used, and take those words out of there and put whatever I put down in the other slide. And then for the last slide, it would be, and I gotta fix this up a little bit because it doesn't look good, but the estimated renovation cost total with the soft cost, and put that 23 million number, whatever it is, 23, whatever. And then the new price, new square footage, and total for rebuild.
Yep.
So everything's right in front of people. No discussion.
Yeah,
The real challenge here is that we're not gonna have those numbers for the right side
right.
until after we promised everybody we'd have them,
Well, we don't,
except for town.
we can still be hopeful. And
Yeah, but and then I think this is an appropriate time for me to say what I need to say about this. And I think throwing numbers out there out of conjecture is really dangerous, extremely dangerous. You know, there's been some numbers floated out there with, we think they're working with this number. That could blow up in your face very quickly if this number comes in on something totally different. So estimating what they're going to come in with, or extrapolating from other things they've said or calculated, I think is extremely dangerous.
I hear you, Dave. I mean, what we know so far when we asked for design development cost is that they're working with a number that's $1 million lower. That's the only indication that we've received on our side, the select board side, of what this cost may be. But that was very unofficial, and I do agree with the sentiment that we want to be accurate with the information that we're giving out.
Could we also include somewhere that the rental price was like I want to say about a year old, so there's going to be inflation associated with that as well?
Well, that's a great comment. And the price that we have here, Christina, and for everybody else listening, that 23,562,918 number, that has inflation costs built in all the way through till a construction time frame of like next summer. So I think we're in good shape there with the acceleration clauses there.
Right, and the cost of construction had already taken a strong climb. I don't think it had peaked out yet, but it was already high when they did this estimating. So this estimate should be a fairly well up there in the sky number, and
Hopefully
comparable to what they come up with now, because it hasn't backed off yet.
Yeah, so, yeah, but we'll need to make sure we're comparing quote apples to apples, like we've been saying the whole time.
Yeah.
But
One other thing to be cognitive of is that there was a slide you had up a minute ago, Dave, that said the Passios Renovation Committee. We talked about quite a bit that we really need to use the correct nomenclature and use it all the way through the document as to what the formal name of the committee is, as it was created.
So it's
redesign.
It's design committee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
TCP, I think what we agreed to call ourselves at the beginning is TCP Building Design Committee.
I'm assuming it's on the other slideshow too, the other PowerPoint.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Is it on there? I'm not pulling it up. It's so small.
No, it's not. It's not on there, but that's okay.
Yep.
So
One thing I noticed when we were going through, by the way, we might want to reach out to the architect about it. When I was going through the slides, Dave, can you go to slide number 4? I just want to see if it's here as well. No. So when we're looking at their current models, they misspelled Lunenburg. That's kind of a big deal. So we can, if we could just reach out and make sure that they preemptively.
I got it on. So the ones I have don't, the ones I have it spelled correctly.
Yeah.
yeah, that's not good.
Okay.
That's, oh boy. All right. All right, so Dave, you'll review the meeting notes from, or the meeting from last week.
Yes.
It looks like you have this already all spliced together. And then get a draft to Michael Ray.
Yep. I'll get a draft to all of you just to make sure, you know, as for another confirmation.
Okay, that's fine. So when do you, I'm not trying to,
I'm gonna I'll look to try to, you know, listen, if I don't get it done tonight,
okay,
it's gonna fall to the bottom of the pile. You know,
Okay.
because,
all right.
you
all
know,
right.
I don't know how you guys react, but my life is more becoming LIFO than FIFO these
I-
days, so, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I get it. So, all right, so if we could just try to all take a look at what Dave sends us, and then if you have any last minute tweaks, send them. I'll tell you what, why don't you send them to me?
Well,
No,
as long
Send
as you
them
don't
back to
comment,
Dave, but send them back to Dave, but just reply to Dave. Don't reply all. Just reply to Dave. And then Dave can call them, and if he has any questions, he can reach out, but and then we can get that slide deck over to Michael Ray in time for him to present it to the select board. Presumably, there'll be some questions generated from the select board, and then we can kind of do some last minute tweaks on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Our meeting next week, and then
Yep.
we can be ready to go.
One of the things I'm guessing we don't have yet, and the architects should be able to supply it to us, is, Dave, wanted to be sure that if we use, and I think we're using the slide for the rebuild that showed the new building footprint over the old building footprint. The one that
Yes.
I have shows the building front aligned with the existing building, and that's been moved back 15 feet. I think it would behoove us if we can get a hold of a drawing that shows it set back. It would-
okay, well, actually, Greg, are you able to do that?
Am I able to do what?
The drawing you did with the parking lot, are you
Yeah,
able to?
I can move that back, but I'm gonna reach out and see if John can get us some updated pictures at this point.
Okay, all right, even if it's just that one picture, because I like to, you know, for now, he should have that.
I'm hoping that he has an updated site plan that has that shift already in it.
Yep.
So I'll reach out. I'm typing an email now so I can get it going. So,
All
okay,
right. I'm
does
gonna-
that sound like a plan to everybody?
Works for
Yep.
me.
Okay. All right.
So,
Anybody else have anything they want to add to this?
yeah, before we move to the next agenda topic, what I'll add is that so when I present this next Tuesday to the select board, I'll make sure I hopefully everyone will watch, but otherwise, I will take some detailed notes, and then also just kind of as I talk through it, so that way when we meet next week to give back the feedback of, any issues I found with the fluidity of it. So separately, the presentation that I'm preparing on behalf of the select board will be after this. Based on this layout in our discussion last week, that presentation is mostly done. I won't say it's done, because I think that there's a couple of minor adjustments I need to make to it. But it's going to be a 15-minute presentation for sure. And it's going to take up the full 15 minutes. There's a couple of slides that I'm carrying that I think may be better in this presentation, but I'll see how it goes after Tuesday before I make that recommendation.
Okay.
Can I ask
All
a question?
Say it again, Brian.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In regards to Mr. Jeffrey's presentation, do you find that it's like a lead into the committee, the TCP committee?
It's after. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's after, but this one is going to be a lead into that one. The presentation for the select board assumes that everyone has what's in here as a base of knowledge.
Okay. I guess I was going to talk about it at the correspondence to and from the committee, but I think it might fit here too, that one of the citizens I talked to was concerned that we already have these other buildings that we're using, the Ritter Building, the Town Hall. And I think a lot of people in town don't know the state of condition of those buildings. And I thought that would be really important. And I don't know if that would fit well with your presentation to kind of just,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like the scope of our committee, but it might make sense for, say, the select board to present that information to the town.
Mr. Roy, given that the agenda topic is warrant articles, is it appropriate for me to go over portions of that presentation?
I think so. I think we can expand that. It's in the same spirit of discussion here, so.
All right, if you allow me to screen share, I'll screen share.
Yeah, Dave, let's stop your share. And you should be able to share, Michael Ray.
Let me just, all right, let me open it up here. I agree with you, Mr. Layton. I think there's a lot of things that presentation needs to do. If I would be lying if I didn't say that this has been a cause of stress for me for the last few weeks. All right. All right. I'm going to breeze through this pretty quickly, but this is to give you some context for what the direction I'm looking to go in. So the Article 8 to fund the design development of the Town Hall Community Center, this slide, I'm not going to read you guys every slide. I'm going to assume you're going to read with me. But this article just is the verbiage that's presented to the town. So this slide identifies what a yes vote will do. The town wants to move forward with the new Town Hall and Community Center at the location currently occupied by the TCP Passios building and commit those funds from free cash to complete the building design process in anticipation of a vote at the 2022 annual town meeting to construct a new town hall and community center. I go over some terminology just to remind everyone what we're talking about with program, what the space is used for, adjacencies, and then I go into detail about schematic design and design development phase. Schematic design phase being where we're conducting those program assessment surveys, and I got to move over the image of all of us while engaging stakeholders in order to identify the feasibility of a project, prepare a diagram or depiction, and its rough estimated cost. Whereas the design development phase advances that schematic design by conducting analysis of major building components, including foundation structures, electrical systems, HVAC systems, in order to prepare detailed floor plans, architectural renderings, and its estimated cost. So this slide speaks to what the public design project process is like. That is a 5-stage process, that the schematic design and design development phase can be combined, but that it is a 5-step process. That when we talk about design and engineering costs, that they comprise 5 to 10% of that total project cost, usually around 8%. So what the pie chart depicts is how that design and engineering money is charged. That 20% of that's charged at the schematic design phase, 20% at the design development phase, and really at the end of the design development phase, that's where you're at a decision point on whether or not to fund the full design and move forward. This slide speaks to how town buildings are currently used. The green indicates a town use, the blue indicates a school or educational type use, and the yellow indicates a community use. I also note here that we're, capacity of buildings, we're at 100% capacity at Town Hall and Ritter. Also that TC Passios has 15% unusable, which I speak to in a future slide. And that of the usable space, 97% is we're at capacity. This town does not appropriate any funds to maintain TC Passios. So how we keep the lights on and the heat on are these uses that are highlighted in green here as they pay rent. The next slide goes into the conditions of town hall. So this slide will speak to the left, the sewage in our sewer line in town hall, that this is an area where, you know, sewage backs up. We've had this line replaced. We've had multiple repairs to it, but it's why we don't store anything in the basement of town hall, and also why we have plastic on the floor. This photo on the right also shows that you can see that this wall is clearly leaning outward on the left-hand side here, because that the wall is not plumb. That's not an optical illusion. It really is what it's like. The next slide goes into how the town hall supported that we have these multiple logs, basically, or telephone poles, that they are in various states of degradation as far as what holds up the building. Some poles, like this one, aren't even touching the building anymore. It's just leaning up against some conduit there. We start to notice the electrical issues or electrical wiring throughout. And this last photo just kind of highlights what that's like. The next photo is the attic of town hall, where we're looking outside. This isn't a starry night. It's just holes in the exterior, the rotted wood. Some of this has been touched up, but we can see the strain. And then we also have this nice 24-inch by 24-inch wasp nest up there. Now this nest is no longer active, but you know, we have to keep in mind that it was. Because staff report that the building has birds and squirrels and mice and wasps on a pretty regular basis. So this slide speaks to how we access town storage at the Ritter building, that it's in an office similar to how most of us get into our own attics, really limited ability to get up and down this. And what we're storing are actively used records for building projects, etc. So these are records that are routinely accessed, and this is how we access them. And then town storage at TC Passios, what that looks like throughout the building. This is just a sample. The right here speaks to the fact that the building is leaking. And so we plan storage around kind of which rooms are and are not leaking. And this slide just further illustrates, you know, that leaking roof that we have, then also speaks to why we have unusable space. That what we're looking at here is the entire building has asbestos flooring or asbestos tile or tile with asbestos containing material. Asbestos poses that health hazard when it's disturbed. So when these tiles buckle like this, this room can't be walked in or used because it poses a public health hazard to anyone in there. This further illustrates on the left just kind of what it's like, you know, leaking roof all over the place. And the right depicts what our staff lounge looks like. So we see all the this watermarks all over the ceiling, the air handler in the middle of the room. You know, this is where the superintendent of schools and the administrative staff, what we offer for them to take a lunch break. I'm sure you can imagine most of them use their offices instead. So this slide goes into the problems that we're trying to solve for the town departments. All right, so everyone has read that. The next slide goes into the problems that we're looking to solve for the school department. And I'll speak to, I think, the fourth bullet coming up here. Fifth. So the inadequate electric supply, that one of the issues that we know is that there's only a handful of outlets in each room, that these rooms were not designed for modern technology. So, you know, it's difficult with all the computers and monitors that need electric supply to maintain that. It actually, you have to kind of think about what else is on that line, so that way you don't blow a fuse, which does happen frequently. It also complicates any kind of conditioning, because the air conditioners, typically you have to trade off, something can't be on if that is on, etc. So we have multiple issues with electric supply throughout the building. And then also that because it has a low roof in the back area, that it does attract teenagers and some adventurous youth, which causes more damage to the roof, and then also potentially is a liability or harm for them. It also goes into what we're trying to solve for our members of the community. Now there is a language mistake somewhere coming up, but I'll just breeze through it. Like I said, there's a couple modifications that still need to be made, but this slide speaks to what we're solving for the members of our community through this project. And then, so, this solution of this combined building solves all of these problems and also addresses other needs. So this slide is an aerial of the TCP. And so I will speak to how the parking is consolidated, where this gravel pit's depicted on the bottom of the screen. Then also that these are additional needs that will be addressed by this building design. Next slide speaks to, how we can maintain this nice idyllic hamlet of a town center, but it's summarizing what this is doing for the community. That we're resolving these priority community municipal space needs, consolidating resources to improve collaboration that best supports our community programs, the future-proof design that anticipates changes in use in the future. That's a multi-generational space that invests in our community's values. And to this last point, that it creates an opportunity to better preserve our historic structures and provide space for cultural and additional community needs. And that's through the use of the town hall, historic town hall, and the Ritter building. So this slide talks about what free cash is, which is the funding article here. Bottom line is that it's unspent taxes that have already been collected, and that, according to DLS, free cash should be restricted to paying one-time expenditures, which this is funding capital projects, which this contributes toward, or replenishing other reserves. And on the right here is kind of a history of how the town has set aside free cash. That this year we do have an abnormally high amount of it because of the conservative planning throughout the pandemic. So now I have a number in here that says 23 million. This is a placeholder number. I'm using the same number from the renovation, just as I have a placeholder in here. So this slide is just to speak to, how does a full project of a new building play into our town's finances, that impact, and of course that, this solution will never cost less than it does today. And to that last point, speaking to, you're going to see some numbers here pop up on the right, ignore them. So this speaks to what this product will cost. And again, I have a placeholder number in here. I literally pulled this just to keep it right where we are currently at. It's just a placeholder number. So throwing this in here just to demonstrate the impact of if this decision is made in May, and every 6 months that we wait to make a decision, what that impact is on the community. That you spend millions of dollars more, but you have the same result. Now, what's over here on the right is and this needs to be updated. It's just, these numbers mean absolutely nothing, but what this will depict is what the cost was to build these buildings in today's dollars and how much more, similar to the layout that's in this chart, how those numbers, how much higher they are now. Just to give residents an indication of, yes, we built a library for $1 million 20 years ago, but if we were to do that today, that building would cost us, 14, 15 million, whatever it comes out to. So this slide speaks to how we've investigated solutions for this, the Building Reuse Committee, the TAP-A study, the Vertex report, also the TCP Design Committee. And then I speak to the survey that we conducted at a 2019 special town meeting, in which we asked all residents in attendance about six options for 30 School Street, separate property, but ties into this conversation. That at 30 School Street, the old primary school, with this survey, the options were green space or town green, a parking lot with green space, a town hall new, a town hall renovated. For the purpose of these slides, we've combined those since they're both variations of similar concepts, senior housing, small business. So when we asked everyone what their first preference was, 45% had some variation of a town green or green space or lot with green space. And we asked everyone what their second preference was. It kind of shot up that preference for the town green and green space. When we looked at what everyone's sixth preference was, the last thing that they would like to see in this location, this is where we had 55% say town hall at the current primary school. And so this then has guided the conversation on what to do as well with our property, after we kind of took the temperature of where the town was at with what they wanted to see happen. And so how this ties into a larger kind of plan, this slide, if we move forward on this funding, we'll be at a point come spring in which we can move forward on the Town Hall Community Center with an estimated completion somewhere around 2024, 2025. Old Primary, that there will be an article coming from the select board to tear down the old primary and have a town green with some additional parking, that will be completed about 2023. And that, if the town hall is approved in the spring, then that gives us the opportunity then for the select board to move forward with establishing this historic town hall and Ritter Building Committee to identify the best uses to preserve those historic structures and enhance their cultural and economic interests of the community. And that is basically the presentation. Then it goes back to the verbiage of the article itself.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I don't think you're soliciting feedback from our board unless you are, and then.
I am.
You are, okay,
So,
well. if anybody
I'm
feels-
sorry, actually, I got a question. Do we actually want to do that at town meeting?
We have to.
No, I'm
He said
saying, Mr. Jeffries, so was that for town meeting? That was for town meeting?
That is, but I do have to present that. I will be presenting that to the select board next Tuesday and to the finance committee next Thursday.
Excellent. No, I just wanted to make sure it was going to be a town meeting because I know that 90% of the people in this town don't realize what the state of things right now at all.
Yeah, you're gonna present that after we do our articles 6 and 7. Yeah, those first slides there with building conditions and those are eye-opening. So
Suggestion possibly, Michael Ray,
Yes.
and to Greg to think about, is that we might approach the town moderator and see if he'll entertain our presentation and yours in the first of the 3 articles, or in that time frame.
I kind of think the same thing, because I think that there's what my concern is that, and this is why I said earlier that there may be some slides here that need to go into the first presentation, because I think I'm answering some questions that probably would have already come up in discussion in the previous article.
yeah,
Right. Exactly. That's why I'm thinking if we can combine all of this committee's presentation and that one that you just outlined, that's still a draft, all in the update article, then all of that information is fresh and in front of the voters as they take up the next 2 articles. I personally, it'll get a little bit long, but I think it's worth it.
I have a
little bit
question.
long.
And
go
sorry.
ahead, Christina. Yep.
So, like, I've always wondered this, but I'd never asked because it was outside our scope. Like, say tomorrow a tree falls on TCP, who pays for that? Is that out of free cash? Is that out of somewhere
That's
else?
Yeah, the answer is insurance will pay for it.
Okay.
Hopefully.
But say like one of those telephone poles in the basement of the town hall falls and the
Oh.
accounting office falls on the floor. Like, how is that insured?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think that I always get a little nervous at town hall when there's 40 people in the room on the 2nd floor, because I know what the basement looks like, and it does. It makes me a little nervous every time I'm there. But I say, hey, this building's been standing for 200 years and 201 years, so it's probably not going anywhere. But I don't know the answer to that question, Christina. I'm not sure. The building is insured. I'm not sure how they would evaluate the claim.
Yeah. I'm sure that's something that might get brought up. And I think it's like those images, they leave lasting impressions. Like, this isn't something we can sit on for another few years and hope for the best when those are terrible.
The other thing that it does is it tells the world that you are aware of the issues.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add, I really enjoyed the presentation. I felt like that was exactly what I was looking for, that we need to inform the public what was happening and why this committee, our committee, was formed. So I think that's great. I'm glad you talked about the primary school, and even potentially you could talk about the conditions of that building as well. But I don't know if you need to. And then the other one was the Brooks House. I didn't know if you wanted to touch upon the conditions of that and why the school say isn't there, or anybody else is not using the Brooks House.
You know, I think part of the problem is that it's hard. Yeah, I mean, we've tried to have like a 5-building solution, and we just can't seem to get consensus, because there's always a part of it that someone disagrees with strongly that stops, you know, any kind of movement on the whole thing. So I think we do have to have a piecemeal approach. We don't have plans for the Brooks House. Right now it's being used by the schools still. I believe the facility department is working out of there, but you know, we don't, at this juncture, I'm not prepared to talk about anything with it, because it's still, you know, we got to figure something out with that building. I think it is for sale though, as long as to buy it. I think they can buy it for $1 and relocate it.
Good luck.
Michael Ray, where's the nearest vacant lot that the town owns?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
It'll already be on beams, and all they gotta do is hook onto it and take it away.
They used to do that more commonly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
All the old buildings that we're talking about, that was done
Most
to
of
them
them,
at
yeah.
least once.
Town Hall, Senior Eagles House.
yeah.
Fire station that's now gone.
Yeah.
Yep. Town Hall was built in 1820 and moved to that location in 1880. And then at some point it was propped up and they added on the first floor.
I mean, can you imagine 1880? So what do you know, you're moving that with horses?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing that? I mean, gee whiz. I mean,
I'm
that's
sure everybody in the town was probably participating.
oh yeah. Yeah. They all supplied their own horse and anyway, yeah, okay. So I mean, I think that was pretty thoughtfully done. I really appreciated it. It gives good legs on. I agree with Brian. It
All right.
it seems to answer a lot of questions, and it should sufficiently fuel that article, the discussion of that article, I would say. So
So then I will make the recommendation. The way I will recommend that at the select board meeting on Tuesday to do a combined presentation, and the same on Thursday with the finance committee.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I get that side. I also wonder if it's going to be too much information. All of us here at this committee, and you'd have to include the select board and the finance committee, have been thinking about this and processing, and most of this information isn't going to be new to them. But average person, and there's probably a very good percentage of people at town meeting that'll be this in that same category, but there'll be another good percentage where this will be new information. And I worry that we are going to be giving too much information all at once. So we'll just have to be very clear about how we proceed through that. So it'd be interesting to see what the moderator says about that.
I think my biggest concern is that if we don't give them all of this information that we've just reviewed, including Michael Ray's presentation, then that segment of the audience that's there for the first time and has really no understanding is going to ask individual questions for each article that could have been covered in this.
I agree.
We'll use as much time as given the presentation.
I agree. There's a lot in that presentation that supports the need for one or the other, either renovation or reconstruction. I think I agree. I think we'll have to be careful to, and I think there's a way to do it. I just think we'll have to be very careful to. Hey, bud. Welcome.
That is the cutest kid, Brian.
Hopefully we're not 4 hours into the meeting already by the time we get
Yeah.
there. That's gonna be the biggest these things.
Seriously.
There's probably gonna be a, consent order or something. We're probably gonna breeze through, I think, a couple of those first articles. So I think that we'll probably hit this about 30 minutes in my opinion.
This is probably going to take up the lion's share of the time, I would think. Are there any other articles? Christine, I'll get to you in a second. Are there any other articles that are contentious or?
APDC has an article that we'll see if that's gonna pass or fail. I think it definitely has to get amended on the floor, and there's gonna be some discussion about that. I think that there will be, the planning board articles seem pretty straightforward, so I do think this is gonna be probably half the time that night, more than likely on these articles.
That's my thought too. So,
Michael,
Christina,
there
go
was a
ahead.
comment about a consent calendar. There won't be for this one, right? I haven't heard anything since I heard that one comment about a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't officially heard anything either, but typically it's something that we do about a week out. So I haven't looked at the agenda, the draft agenda for the second. So it may be on that agenda or the week after.
Yeah. The only thing being is the finance committee has to review that also. So
Yeah.
that would have to be on the 4th. So, okay, just asking.
All right.
Christina, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say during the select board presentation and then the finance committee, if there's a way to shave out a few slides, I think we'd find out then, but we don't really want to take away from it, as you said.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That if we're finding that something's not effective or that it's not necessary, then yeah, save time.
Yep, I think I'm free next Tuesday. I'm gonna try to be in the audience if I can. So
Great.
then we'll see how it rolls too,
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Love it. Okay. Review and approve minutes. I did not get any minutes here, so I don't think we have any to review this tonight. Okay, public outreach. We need to rehash dates just to make sure we got everything on the on our horizon here. We want to be advertised in the Ledger on the 9th, excuse me, by the 9th, but hopefully we're targeting the 8th. Correct?
We also had, excuse me, something to go in on the 2nd for the meeting on the 10th, if we're still doing that.
Right.
That's
I don't know what to,
just a notice of the meeting.
I don't know what to do about that.
Well, we're gonna have the final, gotta have the final numbers by then, by contract. I think that's the first opportunity for whoever's paying attention to actually see the final numbers on the tear down rebuild.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to note as we talk about those numbers that they are rough estimates, that, at the end of a schematic design type phase, that we only have rough numbers, and that it won't be until we have a design development phase that we'll have a number has a much smaller margin of error.
Yep. So, okay, so next Tuesday, we have to advertise on the Ledger for the forum on November 10th.
Right.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if you've talked with town manager, but I think she was gonna make every effort to make sure we could get town hall.
So I asked the clerk's office that question and I haven't heard back yet. So I need to follow back up on that, but I have asked for that room. Dave, do you know if you have a ZBA that night yet, or?
We haven't gotten any notice, so I don't think so.
Okay, so it's likely that we'll be good to go there. Okay, what time do we want to do the public forum?
I'd say the earliest you can start is at 6:30 type of thing, 7 o'clock, because
6:30 or 7 is a traditional time because of work commitments, get home, have dinner, whatever. That's kind of the rationale, I think, behind it.
Yeah, okay. Um,
You guys eat dinner before 7 o'clock meetings?
I never eat dinner. I can stay at the
Wolf down a
office.
snack.
I get home at like 9 or 10 o'clock for most nights. It's crazy.
So should we say meet at, like, have the meeting at 7, but can we meet there at 6:30 and go over everything, or is that
We
against
can do that.
town rule?
No,
No,
we can
we
open
just
the-
post a meeting for 6:30, that's all.
So is that what we wanted? That's probably a smart idea, Christina. You want to do that? We'll post our meeting at 6:30, but we'll advertise the town forum starting at 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
Excellent idea.
So we'll start. I gotta write this down. Start TCP at 6:30. Forum at 7 on the 10th. All right. I'll get that in the ledger.
I'll try to bring cookies. What kind do you like?
Chocolate chip, Dave.
Yeah, I
Chocolate.
was gonna say.
That's always a winner. That's always a winner.
That sounds good. Okay, and then, okay, so that takes care of the forum, and then for the or for the notice in the for the blurb we want to put in the ledger just prior to town meeting. Do we want to outline that tonight? What we want that to say? I think we should outline that tonight.
All right.
So what are people thinking for sort of an outline on that? Just give me bullet points, and then I can craft something for next week, Wednesday, and then we can finalize it.
So kind of like a chance to learn and ask questions.
Well, this is for, so I'll craft the forum one. That's fine. That's just gonna be to come and learn about TC. I'll figure the forum one out, but I'm talking about the advertisement now for that sort of introduces the town meeting articles just prior to the town. What
Yes,
do we want to do them both? Do we want to run them the same thing and just include?
no, I think the one for just before special town meeting should be a collection of bullet points pulled from the presentation.
Okay,
And I agree, if we can pull them tonight, that'll help you out a lot in pulling that together.
Yeah.
But I think there should be some just very informative and short bullet points that we pull from possibly maybe Michael Ray's presentation, 1 or 2, and then 2 or 3 from the renovations section of the presentation, and the same number from the rebuild proposal. And maybe see if that works out in bullet points that way. Because we're trying to tell them what they're going to experience at special town meeting is my thought process.
right.
so I was just gonna suggest this. Would it be better for us to wait to get the presentation from Dave and then send you our bullet points so you can see if there's like a common theme between all of us, or if there's like you just take
Yeah.
all that way, because it's
maybe, and then maybe it just makes sense for me to put a draft of something in front of the committee so that we have a starting point. It seems like doing this way might be hard.
yeah.
That's fine.
So and we've got next week's meeting to finalize that.
Yeah. So that's fine.
So, but that doesn't, because I just want to make sure that I'm not like breaking the rules. So if he sends us the slides and we send his corrections back to you and what we think should be, oh no, we send corrections back to Dave, what we want in the town blurb to you, as long
Yep.
as we don't reply all, we're not,
Just don't reply
Okay.
all, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. So, and I'll get something typed up that I can distribute to the committee for next Wednesday to take a look at. I mean, in my view, we need to summarize what the articles are. And then give them, like Dave said, some real bulleted type, high level information that tells them what they need to know for each thing. So,
I haven't seen the warrant. Of course, we won't see it till it's distributed, printed and distributed. But usually there's a page in there that all the warrant articles are more or less usually, sometimes they fit on one page anyway. But it's just a very short paragraph as to Article 1 does this, Article 2 does this, Article 3 does that. So maybe the same thing, article numbers, and I don't know what we ended up with for numbers. But
Yep.
the first article is just an update of, and this is the basic information you'll get from that presentation, or that's what this presentation will be about. Then Article 26, say, that was 25, 26 is a funding article for renovation and a couple of bullet points. And then the next article is a funding article for a final design of a rebuild.
okay. I think
I think it might be good too to even include that language of, okay, if this one passes, we're gonna pass over this article, and if this one
Yeah.
fails, we're gonna go to this.
that's
article.
what I really, if we do nothing else in that article, that we should really make sure, try to communicate the relationship of each article to each other, so that people aren't coming in there scratching their head like, what's going on? I'm confused. We got 2 projects here. Why are we doing 2 projects? So I think that's a very good point, Brian.
The numbers
Right.
are 6 and 7 for the TCP articles.
6 and
Okay.
7. Okay. All right, great. Good. Okay. All right. Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
Anything else? Anything else on public outreach? I just have a question. I'm not sure where this fits on the agenda. I think that when we were talking about this last time, that we haven't picked who's presenting at town meeting. Is that correct?
Nope, we haven't.
May I recommend Mr. Roy?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I've been kind of planning on it, so. Also happy not to do it if someone else really wants to. No, I'm happy to do it. It's fine. And I mean, I can present a public forum. I know I have a meeting that I'm really supposed to be at, town forum night. But this is more important, so I'll try and find a suitable replacement for the other one, I guess. So we'll make it happen. Okay. Is there any correspondence to and from the committee? I'll start. I just, nothing specific, but I've gotten at least 1 or maybe 2. I've had a couple just conversations with friends of mine in town. Just like, hey, tell me what I need to know about this. Kind of thing. So definitely people are starting to tune in. And that's good. So hopefully we can get some good interest when we do these forums and things. But I haven't had those conversations haven't been negative in any way. Just people are, you can tell people are starting to, get interested in it. So. Anybody else?
I can relate. Same with me.
Okay. I have a catch-all new business item. If anybody has anything that didn't fall under one of the other agenda items that you need a spot to land it, this would be the spot. I published these agendas earlier, so I just wanted to make sure we had a spot where we could present new ideas if we had them. But I think we have all we can do to keep up with the old ideas. But anybody? No. Okay.
So,
Um,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I don't know
Yeah, go ahead.
what's appropriate, but I will be remote next week.
Okay.
On the 3rd. I am
Okay.
trying to make it, but I don't know what time I'm gonna be out of my meetings.
Okay.
So, like I said, the feedback on the presentations, I'll do whatever you guys need, whatever you want, and whatever, however quick, but that's just as a thing. So I will have it.
If you send the we'll all have the presentation, right, in PowerPoint
That's
by that
correct.
point. So
Yes.
if I have a copy of that, I might be able to do what you did here and kind of real time edit things. I don't think I'm the genius with PowerPoint that you are, but I'll try and do that if you're not able to attend, Dave.
Like I say, worst comes to worst, I think by the time you guys are all done, it'll pretty much, it's mainly correcting grammar, correcting syntax and all that stuff, and just your comments. So I appreciate it all. So the biggest ones that just get me the pictures and get me the number, you'll just be filling in the numbers at the end.
Yeah.
For the
I'll
guys.
work on the pictures for you. Yep. Okay. All right. All right. My computer isn't, there it is. So future meeting schedule, I think we have this all inked. We're right through town meeting. We're next week is we'll have a meeting on the 3rd of November at 5:30 via Zoom. And we will be scheduling a town forum on the 10th, Wednesday, which will start at 7, and our TCP meeting will start. So the forum public portion of that meeting on the 10th will be at 7, but TCP will commence our meeting at 6:30. And that will be in person with a Zoom, with the ability for folks to be on Zoom. So we'll have both. But it'd be the intention that the committee members would be there in person, I think. And we intend to reserve I don't have a final answer, but we intend to reserve the Bellata meeting room in the town hall.
Greg, is there a need to inform PAC? Because I think for
Yeah,
Zoom participation in that room, you're going to need PAC to coordinate it.
absolutely. Yep. I will get that. I will get on that.
I mean, we might be able to go as far as live broadcast, but I don't know that we need to, because we could be sitting there talking to ourselves also.
You're right. We could. So, well, if PAC's in the room and there's nothing else going on in town, they'll probably live stream it, I would imagine. So
It would be nice to be able to have it live for those who say they couldn't make it to the
Yeah.
meeting.
yeah.
However, and by the way, Dave, to your point, I mean, the selectmen do it to an empty room quite often after the first 20 minutes, right? Except for you. I'm sorry, except for you.
Except for me hiding over in the corner.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't think, well, I've never had an audience for some of mine too, so,
Christina's been threatening to join me over there in the corner.
yeah.
I'm getting ready to. I'm really planning on going to next week's because I want to hear their presentation live.
Yep. Good.
Okay. Anybody else on future meeting schedule? But I think that's summer. And then of course, town meeting. We don't need to notify for our board. No. Okay. For town meeting. No. Okay. All right. Is there any public comment from the public? There's only one person here who's on a phone. Maybe I'll just unmute just to make sure there's nothing that they would like to say. I tried to unmute the phone participant. But give it another couple seconds.
That's a person that's public commented before, I think. you
Yeah,
know.
that's why I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an issue unmuting the phone. I don't think so. So I will move on to public comment from any public comment from the committee members. Okay,
Future member of the committee there.
yeah, I was gonna say, that's fantastic.
Oh, like someone's waving.
This only needs to drag on for another 20 years and he can be seated. Less than that, actually.
Careful what you say, Dave.
16 years.
All right, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, Dave Blatt,
Aye.
Michael Ray,
Aye.
Dave Passios,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and Christina.
I
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night. Greg, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy.